So starting in a forward fold, because this is our first one in the morning, you might want to have a generous bend in your knees, nod and know your head, reach for the ground, maybe shift your weight from left to right. And keep breathing. You stand here, and I'm going to try to add music and see if I can get the mix right. So from your forward fold, rag dog yourself up to standing and see if you can come into a squat. And feel the stretch. This sequence that we're going to do today is actually designed for runners, so people who have tight legs. So if you can get into a squat, maybe you're on your toes, maybe you're leaning in, whatever it is for your body. Rarely do two squats look alike. And then go ahead and come onto your back. Turn this up a teeny bit and let somebody in. You can be in constructive rest while you're waiting for you. I think you can still hear me okay? Okay. We're going to do a little exercise sequence to help release our psoas again, that hip flexor. So lying on your back, see if you can grab your ankles. Maybe your feet are wider than your hips. And then you're going to take your left knee and just bend it in towards the center. So it's kind of a quad stretch. And then foot back on the ground, other foot to vertical, and try again. Take a big breath while you're cold. Adjust as needed. Back up to vertical again. Let's do it one more time. Flopping that knee in towards the midline. Some of you might have the flexibility to have your knee all the way on the ground. I'm not that person. Stay here, take another big breath. Let me let someone in. Bring your knee back up to vertical again and shake out your legs a little bit. And we're going to switch sides. Notice how this side might be different than the other side. So we're keeping our left knee vertical this time. Try not to let it flop. And flopping the right knee in towards the midline. This side is down. belly breathe or even breathe into that thigh. And bring that right knee back up to vertical, readjust, and dip back into the bend, flopping it in towards your midline. Back up to vertical again. We're going to try one more time, flopping your right knee in towards your midline, towards the ground. Feeling a stretch in your quad / hip flexor area. Think about lengthening your waist or bringing your waist in towards the ground. And feel how that intensifies the stretch. Back up to vertical again. Shake out your hips. Maybe windshield wipe your knees a little bit. And then, second part, leaving your right knee vertical again. Come on to your left toes and then push into a half bridge. Just lifting the left hip glute off the ground. And then release. Let's do that 6 times. Down on your toes into half bridge. Down. This is all to release your hip flexor, your psoas again. A little different perspective, different techniques. Down again. Up. 2 more. And 1 more. Lower. And then retest your flop in from this side. So grabbing maybe your ankle if that feels good, or just bring it a little wider. Flop that knee in and see if your knee's a little bit closer than it was the first round. Just notice. And then our last psoas releasing stretch. Grab your toes with your left toes with left hand. So you're arching your toes into the palm of your hand, and then try to straighten your left leg. Foot on the ceiling as much as your body will allow. So, stretching the back body. One more breath here. Go ahead and release. And let's test one more time. Flop it in. Maybe there hasn't been any shifts. Maybe there has. Just notice. Okay. Switching sides. So left leg and left knee will stay vertical. Right knee, come on to the right toes, and then push your right hip off the ground, getting air underneath your right glute in half bridge on your toes. Maybe press your knee away from your body if you're not feeling anything. Notice how this side might be different than the other side. Go ahead and lower. Let's do this 6 times. So 5. Breathe, press that knee away. Down. 4. Half bridge. 3. Breathe. Lower. 2. Lift. Stretch away. Pushing your knee away from the rest of your body. Lower and one more. Last one. Half bridge. Go ahead and lower, then foot wide again and flop that knee in. See if there's any shifts. Notice how one side is probably different than the other. And then grabbing your toes so that you can bend all of your toes back into your right palm. Try to straighten your right leg. Breathe into the areas where you feel a lot of sensation. Nothing should be too intense. A 3, 4, 5, or maybe even a 6 on the pain scale, but nothing higher than that. One more breath here. Go ahead and release. Shake out your hips if that feels good, or wobble them back and forth, and flop that knee in again and see if anything's different. Okay. Come up to seated. Oops. There's my hand. Go ahead and sit on your heels first. See if you can do that. Some of us can't make this contact. Maybe it's because the tops of your feet are tight. Excuse me. Your knees are tight, your hamstrings, your quads, whatever it is, kind of notice and see if you can let gravity bring your thighs closer to your heels. And then we're going to try a little toe torture. I'm going to point away so you can see what I'm doing. Standing on your toes, I'm going to reach back, grab my pinky toe, and make sure that they're in line with the rest of my toes. And then bring my torso up to vertical as much as my body will allow. And this is a pretty intense stretch of the bottoms of your feet. Okay, go ahead onto your booty, and we're going to come into runner's stretch. So left leg in half butterfly, right leg straight, maybe flexing the right toes. When you flex the right toes, it engages your calf as well. I have a earbud in, and it's so I can make sure the sound was right, and now it's just I can hear myself and it's annoying me, tripping me up. So start just sitting with your body as much verticality as you can, breathing tall and leaning towards your edge. Again, you want to feel sensation, not too much. And reset that edge as your body gets used to it, the muscles soften. And if you have the flexibility, you can lean towards your right leg. And see if you can find stillness. If you're feeling burning at your hip or at the back of your knee, then back off. If you're super flexible, then elevate your right heel to intensify this stretch. If this is too much for you, you can put a block underneath your knee or have a bend in this foot or a pillow, whatever you have around you, or a fist to take away some of the pressure on the backs of your knees. And keep breathing and just let gravity do its thing. On your next breath, come on back up to vertical. Put your hands behind you, feet out straight, and shake out your legs. Maybe flop your ankles back and forth as counter stretch, and we're going to switch sides. So right leg goes into a half butterfly. Left leg is straight on the ground, maybe flexing that left foot. Maybe not, depending on what sensation you're interested in. Try sitting up tall first and really pressing this leg into the ground, noticing where you feel sensation. And if your body allows it, bring your torso up towards your front leg, the straight leg. And keep breathing. Again, find your edge and then shift your edge as your body softens into the pose. Gravity pull you closer to the ground. And again, notice how one side is probably different from the other. One more big breath here. And then go ahead and come out of the pose, back into sort of a recliner arm position, legs out, shake them out, and maybe a windshield wiper your ankles. This counter stretch, maybe puff up your chest. This counter, and make a mini back bend as counter stretch. And then we're gonna try wide leg forward fold. Everybody's body is going to be different. Wide leg is your wide leg, and then making sure you're on your sit bones, folding into that space in between your legs. If this is nowhere near what your body wants to do, you might have your feet on the ground and be leaning forward. You make the shape that's right for you in a wide leg forward fold idea. If you're extremely flexible and this is super easy, you can increase the challenge by lifting your ankles up onto blocks or books to make the floor a little bit higher. Again, if you're feeling burning underneath on the backs of your knees, come out or add your hands underneath your knees to get a little bend. See if that allows you to go forward a little bit more. Notice where you're feeling sensation and maybe breathe into those areas. And there might be radiating pain. Radiating is not pins and needles. Pins and needles is like your foot's falling asleep. You don't want that. Radiating, just, it's where you feel it somewhere you might not expect it. Like maybe forward fold, you're feeling it in your shoulders or something like that. That's just reminding you of how everything is interconnected and how your feet and whole back body are all interconnected to. So you might feel tugs or soreness in unexpected areas. Okay, come on out of your wide leg forward fold for you, back into recliner arms. Shake out your legs, windshield wiper your ankles, and puff up your chest in a mini back bend. Great. All right. Next pose is pigeon. We're going to try to keep our torsos vertical. We're going to try it first. If it's not a good idea for you, when we try it, then I'll show you some modifications. I'm going to point towards you. So, well, actually, can I? Maybe. Okay. From down dog, bring your right leg into lunge, and then walk the foot towards your opposite ankle and come down as much as your body does. And then this time, let's attempt to keep your torso in a relatively vertical position. So I'm going to do that again from this side. So from down dog, I'm going to start with my left foot over towards right ankle, or right wrist, and then scooting the right leg back. If you need a block under here, go for it. And then try to bring your torso towards vertical. So you're going to feel it in your glute and in your right hip flexor. If this is super easy for you, maybe grab your hands behind you. If this is impossible for you, you can change the angle of your front leg to be more underneath your body. Or if this is just a bad idea, fully bad idea, then you can try the figure 4 that we've done before, or also called thread the needle, where you lie on your back and you bring your knee in to feel it in the glute over here. I'm going to go back into the pigeon. And again, hurts so good. Keep breathing. Breathe into areas of sensation. And notice how your body will probably soften as we hold. Some of you may have done this pose before by coming down onto your belly. If you do that, then you aren't involving your hip flexor, your right hip flexor. You do the pose that you want to do. I'm just showing you options, right? Staying up really hits the right hip flexor. Coming down is more left glute, hip, hamstring, lower back. Okay, go ahead. Ooh, come out of this one. Counter stretch back into down dog. Maybe walk your dog left and right, whatever feels good. And then we're going to switch sides. So for me, my right leg is going to come up towards my left wrist. I'm going to inch my left leg back behind me and try to come up. And breathe. Keep breathing through this. Notice how this side might be different from your other side. Okay, go ahead and come out. Down dog to counter stretch. And have a generous bend in your knees. Walk your dog left to right. Whatever makes it feel good for you. Breathe. And then come on down. Maybe sit on your heels for a minute. A little child's pose, counter stretch. Shift your weight from left to right here. Maybe let your head dangle. Child's pose, and we're going to come into our next one, which is lizard. So from tabletop, bring your right knee out, or your right foot outside of your right hand. Then lift up your left knee and wiggle your foot back. Lower your knee down again and flop into, like maybe even bend your elbows. So it's called lizard because you're like a lizard doing a little push-up. Some of you can come onto your elbows now. Some of you might be able to come onto your elbows in a bit. Hang your head if you can. Sorry. Hey, shh. No. Deal with the dog. Go ahead and come out through tabletop, back into child's pose. Again, maybe rock back and forth, left to right. Take another breath in child's pose, and then come back onto hands and knees to switch sides. So left leg is coming forward next to your left hand. Lift the right knee, wiggle your foot back, and then lower it again. And flop into this space, maybe even bending your elbows. If it's pinching at the hip, try pointing the left foot out. Sometimes that gives relief. Go ahead and come out through tabletop, back into child's pose. Sitting on your heels, rocking as you need relief. Trying to support your forehead, either with your fists or head on the ground, forehead on the ground. Then back up to sitting on your heels. If your body does this, see about coming back. If you're like, that's not gonna happen, you can try, see if you can come into sitting in between your heels and coming back. If you're like, try half. One leg out, one leg in fold. And if this is still not a good idea for your body, I think there is a if you can't do this at all, come onto your belly, on onto your elbows, pressing out to have that same sense of stretch. Maybe you can reach back and grab a foot from here. So those are your options. Either both knee lying back as much as your body will allow. Don't just flop into it. You don't want to have too much pressure on your knees. Too much sensation on your knees is not helpful. We want it in the quad. So either both legs back, one leg back, or flipping over onto your belly for grabbing one foot or the other if you can, or just staying in Sphinx, which is basically Cobra but on your elbows. You look like the Sphinx in Egypt. Looking forward, hands parallel to each other. Pulling the forearms back to feel the stretch in your belly. Pressing your hips into the ground so you don't compress your lower back. And if you want to add the quad into it, grab the back foot. If your body does this. So pick your variation. If you've if you're doing one leg, go ahead and switch legs. Or come out of your back and switch legs. Keep breathing. Notice where you're feeling sensation. Nothing should be too severe, and definitely nothing, or the main stretch should be in your quad, not the tops of your knees. Back out, edit, revise if it's on the top of your knees where you're feeling the most sensation. Notice as you stay in the pose how your body shifts, softens, allows gravity to hold it a little bit more. One more breath here. And then come out of your pose again and onto your back. Start in constructive rest. That's just lying on your back with your knees bent, feet on the floor. And notice what these stretches have done, how your body feels so far. Home stretch, we're going to do a twist. If you're interested in more sensation, cross one leg over the other and then flip over into a double knee twist. You can try both directions. If you want less sensation, then instead of crossing your legs, do just straight double knee twist. Either direction. I'm going to sit up while you're in your twist. You might try your arms in cactus or a T to add the chest opener from your twist. Go ahead and bring both knees back up to vertical. Shake out your hips if that feels good. Maybe windshield wiper them if that feels good. And switch legs. So cross your legs the other way and flip over to the other side, or just flop over to the other side, depending on which twist variation you chose to do. Go ahead and bring your knees back up to vertical. Maybe knees into your chest, maybe a windshield might be your knees. Maybe draw circles holding the tops of your knees. And then bring your knees in tight. Give yourself a hug and find your favorite Shavasana position. On your back, on your side, on your belly, sitting up. I'm going to stay seated and switch cameras for a final guided meditation. Maybe take a deep breath in, let it go. And again, notice what this yin practice has done to your body, your nervous system, your mood. We're going to do a body scan. So starting at your feet, Notice your left big toe. Notice all the toes on your left foot. Maybe there's moisture sensation in between your toes. Maybe your toes are cold. Maybe your toes are warm. Notice the bottoms of your feet, the arch, the heel. Notice the top of your foot. Notice your right big toe. All the toes on your right foot. Your right arch. Your right heel. And the top of your right foot. Notice your ankles. And your shin bones. Maybe you can allow your calf muscles to just feel like they're dripping off the bone. Notice your knees and the space behind your knees. Notice your thigh bones, your femurs. And the quad and hamstring muscles that are attached. Notice where your femur goes into your hip socket and that place of insertion. Notice your hip flexors, starting at your femur, going through your pelvis and attaching to your lower back, your spine. Maybe you can allow your hips to be a little bit heavier. Notice every vertebra in your spine, from your tailbone all the way up to your skull. Notice your belly. Maybe notice the slight movement in your belly as you breathe. Notice your chest, your energetic heart. Maybe notice the movement of your ribs as you breathe. Notice your shoulders, your upper arms, your elbows, your lower arms, your wrists, and your hands, the fingers, the palm of your hand, all the tiny bones and muscles that allow you to write and type. Notice your jaw, your tongue, your forehead, your eyes, your cheeks, your ears, your scalp. Notice all the points of contact between your body and whatever you're lying on. And maybe sink a little deeper into your mat. Or space. When you're ready, take a deep breath in. Let it go. Maybe wiggle fingers and toes. Maybe wrist circles or ankle circles. Maybe a full body stretch. And when you're ready, push your body back up to seated. May the inner light in you reflect the inner light in me. Namaste, everybody, and thank you for practicing.
Namaste.
You can leave whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Miss Compton.
Thank you, Miss Compton.
Thank you, Miss Compton.
Okay, folks, it's time to go. Thank you for being here. But class is over. So Emma, Gary, Damon, are you actually here? Damon, are you here, buddy? If you don't respond, I'm not going to give you credit for today. Okay. It was a pleasure. I'm going to end the Zoom. See you guys later.